Welcome back to Decision Time, everybody. Your weekly podcast where we talk about UFC, other MMA news, and just random stuff as well. Of course, I am one of your co-hosts, Jacob. With me again, the lovely Ginger, Benjamin Roberto Rosell to my right, and Samir, famous from Stadium Live, down below on my right. How we doing today, guys? On this Tuesday afternoon.
Somber, sad,
Yeah.
Heartbroken.
defeated.
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Let's just let's get right into it with UFC 318. 317. My bad. UFC 317 already off to a bad start. Prelims were great. This whole card was great.
Yeah.
Best card of the year probably without
So
a doubt.
far.
I think. Yeah, so far obviously we're halfway through the year, but
Yeah.
potentially card of the year. Oliveira versus Topuria. There were some heartbreaking moments, but I mean, also some just really overall good fights. I don't know if you saw this one, Samir, the Jonte Diaz versus Alvin Hines fight. This heavyweight match. It was an absolute banger. Just two heavyweights just throwing at each other.
Just a slugfest.
Just an absolute slugfest. Denise got the win. Maybe a robbery, as our Twitter would say.
I think it was like a 29-28. It was like it could have gone either way, and I think it was a 29-28.
Yeah,
I personally
yeah,
thought that Alvin Hines beat Jonata Denise, but he edged out of the decision, which is fine. I very much believe that either of these guys would beat Tai Tuivasa. Find whatever they want, honestly, because they didn't look technically that good, but they had power. They were just falling all over the ring.
yeah. It was just a great way to start the night. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
like made me feel good about what fights were to come. Overall, just a banger of a matchup. Just to see two heavyweights slugging at each other, cutting each other up. Um, Alvin Hines was like blood red, not blood red from like blood, but from
You just read.
tiredness.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the
After that
first
first
round. But
round, yeah.
I'm just surprised neither of these guys really got finished. Like
Mm-mm.
it looked like a couple times
Yeah.
they were gonna be out. But yeah, just a great way to start an overall great card. Next on the early prelims though, Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacoby Smith, like we said in the last episode, this was either going to be Jacoby Smith getting finished or him getting a quick early finish. And he did exactly that. Or first round submission, went for the takedown, good holding his choke throughout the scramble between Nico Price. I thought Nico Price did a good job trying to escape it, but Jacoby Smith had the neck and just kind of followed him with it, right? So
I was a little surprised for two things. One, I didn't know that apparently in that fight, Jacoby Smith was the biggest favorite in UFC history, which was a little bit surprising. But to be
yeah, he was
fair,
like,
it is Nico Price, who hasn't been good for years. And with that being said,
yeah,
I thought I thought it was going to be much more of a contrast between the two of them. Nico Price, like, he looked pretty solid for, being the biggest underdog in UFC history. So I was just like Jacoby Smith finished him, which is good, but maybe could have been more impressive? Question mark.
yeah, yeah. Overall, just like a kind of a bad showing from Nico Price, like just to immediately get and take like the first 5 seconds, Jacoby Smith shot his takedown and immediately got it, and then got top position and got that submission locked in. Um, yeah, overall, just a great match, honestly, great fight. And we all picked Jacoby Smith too, so we're all right on this one. I was actually wrong on the first fight of the night with Alvin Hines. You guys picked Denise. Whatever. I guess you guys started
Those
off better
the
than me.
picks
And
were not too good for
yeah,
the
mine were
boy.
bad. Yeah, mine were definitely pretty bad. Listen, I went with some heart picks, all right? My fault, my fault.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but the first oh wait, my fault. I was completely thinking of the wrong fight here. This is the Terrence McKinney versus how do you say his name,
Vyacheslav
man?
Borshev.
Yeah, this is the fight I was talking about, the early submission. That's my bad. That's my bad. Or
Yeah, I
like
was a little
the
confused because I'm
submission
like,
in the first
Jacoby
round.
Smith got a quick one, but not
Yeah,
that quick.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
Yeah,
yeah,
second
yeah,
round.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking of Terrence
You
McKinney.
said
My
that,
fault, my
I was
fault.
like, Nico Price low key rocked him a bit, but yeah, Terrence McKinney went
This,
all gas, no brakes with it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just yeah, great performance from him.
And Borshev, they're just dogs. They went in, and Terrence McKinney did exactly what we said we was gonna do. Either he was gonna push the tempo to the max and either win or lose by finish. That's exactly what happened. So
Yeah,
Took him 55 seconds.
yeah, that was like the most Terrence McKinney matchup. Just jump in there. Oh, someone finished.
I mean, I thought the technique on display was crazy. I
Oh yeah.
like the way he transitioned from the double leg takedown and then into that mounted guillotine, and he did all of that within 55 seconds. Like
His
it's
chain grappling was insane that match. He
yeah,
had like three different submissions locked in. He's like, I don't like this one. Borshev moves a little bit. I'm just gonna move a little bit, and then just done.
yeah. He went from like a Darce to an Anaconda to that top guard guillotine, and
Hmm.
I meant Terrence McKinney when I was talking about the last one, but yeah, his ability to just like hold that choke throughout the scramble was so impressive.
Hmm.
I was really impressed by his performance. Maybe he should have got one of the performances of the night. I don't think he earned it.
I don't think
Through
so.
like,
No.
which is a little disappointing. I feel like there's a couple of like little robberies for the performance of the night, but what can you do? I mean, we're not in working for the UFC picking that, so we're not Dana White. But yeah, nothing really much to talk about overall in this one. First round submission in 55 seconds. Can't really get really deep into it. But then we had Tracy Cortez versus Vivian Araujo. Tracy Cortez, greatest
You were a
woman.
fan of that match.
I
The
did enjoy it.
I will say the camera work was it was insane. Like the camera, the UFC was like, yo, get this right now, bro. I remember I was watching it every now. I was just like, look at Jacob. He's just like, what the fuck?
They like, I feel like they would transition to a camera angle that was like
Intentionally, like,
perspectively, well, perspectively bad for the fight. Like you're trying
mhm,
to, you want to see like the top when she was on the ground like putting in the work.
mhm.
You want to see her work from the top angle, but they would just switch it to like the cage side view,
And it would be like
just to focus
fully,
on one key
like
area.
almost like a third of the screen was just Tracy Cortez's ass.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but great fight from her. I mean, she looked overall like she just kind of outclassed Vivian, um, in kind of all aspects. Like thought on the feet, she looked a little bit better. I think Araujo should have maybe tried to keep it standing a little bit longer.
Hmm.
But on the ground, Tracy Cortez just put the work in. Just kind of smothered her with constant pressure, constant ground and pound. Nothing really Vivian could really do to get out of that.
It was just like it was kind of a boring performance, but it was just like a pretty very easy decision win.
Yeah,
yeah,
just a
this
solid win overall.
yeah, this cemented it for me as Tracy being just a gatekeeper. Like it is like after watching that fight, I mean, we like everything that we said in our predictions turned out to be right. It's like
Yeah.
unless she can get control and she can have ground dominance, then she's probably gonna win the fight. And
Hmm.
it's like she's like an open book. And it's very hard to be a champion when your strategy is obvious to anyone out there. And it's kind of like unless you pick and choose her opponents, I don't see her getting that title shot or actually getting another one after she loses it because in flyweight, I do not think she's that great.
No.
Like it was a great performance, but I mean, it's like when you see the flyweights on hand, and then the people that Tracy Cortez has failed to beat in the past, there is a pretty big pattern on display.
Hmm.
And it was a good performance by her, but this just cemented it for me. She's always going to be in and around there, kind of just a ranked fighter that gets a lot of views for a lot of reasons. She's
Yeah.
a great fighter,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's kind of disappointing how she went from like an up and coming, like really good prospect in the flyweight division to just kind of being just there for the vibes. And that's what I feel like after watching that fight. It was a great performance by her, but I didn't see anything in her style that showcased that she is really trying to go for the belt. I think she's just trying to win every fight they hand her, trying to stay like within and about of the flyweight rankings, but that's about it. Like that's a little comment I had to make. Like I think Tracy needs to step her game up,
Hmm.
improve, work on her striking because it's not too great. Like I saw she had pretty good striking in this matchup, but Vivian Araujo was not laying hands on her.
The only good strike Vivian got was she punched Tracy so hard in the forehead that her eyelash came off. She had like fake eyelashes on. They went. Pew, you saw it like fly away.
Again, by the way.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you, Samir, about like I just there's definitely better women's flyweights. Like I just don't see her contending for a title shot that soon. Does she have a chance? I mean, obviously, if she keeps like going on a win streak, but she did lose to Rose, which was kind of a disappointing performance from her. Um, and overall, yeah, I agree. I don't think she's gonna shoot that far into the rankings and be like a top flyweight in the women's division for long. But yeah, I could definitely see her being like a gatekeeper esque
Hmm.
fighter for sure. Next, I didn't see this one
You
because
you you were gone.
I was going to get wings, man. All right, this was our wing stop, okay, literally and figuratively. Um, but Hydra Emil versus Jose Miguel Delgado. We all picked Delgado. And seems like we picked right, boys. How do we feel about this one? Because again, I didn't see it. I'll let you
I
take
Nuts.
the reins on this one.
I was watching it because I didn't go to get wings, and I was just like, oh yeah, this will be a good matchup, and it ended as soon as it started. Like it was just and bah! And he's out. Oh shit! It was an insane knockout. I immediately texted my friends that were going to get wings, like, he just died! He died!
Dude, that that Swift knee and just that not like I haven't seen something like that in a while. Like 26 seconds, I think it was 25,
It
26.
was it was real quick. I forget the exact number. Yeah,
Jose Miguel Delgado was on dog timing, and Hyder Emil just had no chance. Like I feel bad for Hyder Emil because he had no time to showcase anything. He
yeah,
just
no.
went straight to Delgado on the offensive, and boom, fight over.
You can't even really say
Yeah, I
much about
mean,
it because it was
for
just
what I,
like it was over.
and it was yeah. But honestly, overall, great performance from Delgado. Obviously fights higher. Definitely could see him being a ranked featherweight, maybe eventually. Um, but right now, obviously got to get some more non-ranked fights under his belt. But overall, I mean, any knockout within that like first minute range is just super duper impressive. So, definitely probably gonna get a good matchup next, a little bit higher. But then we had Ben's favorite nickname matchup of the night,
Hell yeah,
Jack Hermansson, Gregory Rodriguez. I think we all picked wrong on this one. If I
we
can't,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
this was
we
my
all
first
picked.
wrong pick of the night, and it was. And to be fair, this is exactly what we said would happen. It was either going to be a long decision that's just going to be drawn out by Joker winning, or RoboCop just killing him, and that's what happened. So we were wrong by
We might have
predictions.
actually,
We were wrong by predictions, but we were correct in what was going to happen.
yeah, and we might actually have been a little too right that Gregory Rodrigues might have killed Jack Hermansson, because that late hit was
Yeah,
honestly so brutal.
yeah.
And what didn't make sense to me is why Herb Dean didn't like. Herb Dean was like kind of there and kind of like holding him off, like kind of like a little hesitant almost,
Hmm.
and then he just allowed that strike to happen, and then he looked like, oh shit, like that shouldn't have happened. No shit, Herb. Like we've seen you slide in and elbow. Was it Dustin Poirier in the face? Like slide in and stop it. You know what I mean? Like that's such a dangerous shot. Like he's already on the ground. He's clearly like I know like once I saw that strike and Hermansson kind of like fall back, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, like that's clean. He's knocked out,
Yeah.
and he wasn't even guarding as he was falling. Like, and then Gregory Rodrigues just hammer fists him in the fucking esophagus. Like it was a brutal, just a just kind of a brutal non-stoppage by Herb.
Hmm.
I mean, again, can't really complain too much. I'm sure being a ref in the like any MMA is probably one of the hardest things to be a ref in, just because you don't know when to stop. But I feel like that one was a little bit too clear. But Gregory Rodrigues, RoboCop gets it done via knockout.
Now
Not
we get into
too
the
surprised,
good
but
stuff.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, Samir,
What were your thoughts on this?
shouldn't have bet against shouldn't have bet against Peyton Talbot, buddy.
He's back.
I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Um, I mean, honestly, I thought I had a lock. I really, really did. With Felipe Lima, I thought Payton Talbot got fraud checked in his last fight, and I am here to sincerely apologize to you, Payton Talbot, and Frank Ocean and your entourage. I was completely mistaken. Like Payton Talbot, like he literally controlled the
Hmm.
whole fight, like completely the opposite of what I said he was doing. Like he dictated the tempo. He decided what was happening in the octagon. I mean, his grappling was great. Um, he his takedown defense was very good.
Hmm.
Like this is not the Payton Talbot that I saw in his last fight, and that's really good props to him. He's really improved his MMA IQ, and following his loss, he's actually learned, and I think that makes him more of a dangerous fighter and prospect than I thought. Because if you take the most important things about a UFC fighter, it's their ability to cope with a loss and how they come out of it. And watching this performance, I mean, a unanimous decision, an easy unanimous decision against Felipe Lima. I'll let you guys get into more details, but all I have to say is Payne Talbot, I'm sorry. Like, that was completely, utterly different performance than what I had envisioned.
Yeah, no. I mean, his fight against Raoni Barcelos, he just looked really, really bad, and I was unsure because Lima, he has like a lot of submission threat in the UFC. And then like I thought this during the fight. I'm like, did is Peyton Talbot like just has he just insanely leveled up his game, or at the same time does Felipe Lima pose very little to no wrestling takedown threat? Because like he did get a few takedowns, and it was when he was trying to go for like traditional double leg takedowns. That's when he did his best work. But he didn't really do that. He just kind of went for like fancy, weird takedowns, and Peyton was just stuffing them. So I don't know if it's purely like a wrestling takedown defense that he had good, or like a sambo wrestling takedown or takedown defense that he had good. I don't know, but Peyton Talbot looked way better than his Barcelos fight, and I was shocked. Like I thought he was gonna win, but not to the same degree that like I didn't think he was gonna win that confidently and like at that level.
Yeah, overall, like it was like Peyton Talbot, like kind of like what you Samir said, like his ability to adapt from the loss and just overall like increase his like grappling ability. Like it was on full display in this match. Like his ability to scramble, his ability to defend takedowns. I mean, his striking has always been his strong suit. I would actually say his striking was one of his weaker points in this fight. His ability to switch the position and scramble out of the top guard or full guard was just like sensational to watch. Like he literally kind of looked like a spider out there. Like he was just like
Hmm.
on the ground and then he'd flip and then
Just
they were in a
roll.
completely
Yeah.
different position. Yeah, it was super duper impressive. And kind of like counter what you had said, Ben. Like I think he did, like Felipe Lima looked really good, and like I think maybe those traditional takedowns were working, but not to the extent he wanted. So that's why I think he was maybe trying to do those like sneaky creative takedowns. And I thought Payton Talbott did a good job at staying sound and knowing his game and like being able to defend those. Like I think there was a point in the fight where Lima had Talbot's leg like in a splits position, like over his head almost, and Payton was still able to stay on his feet and
Hmm.
like
Well,
avoid the takedown. Like that really, really impressed me from him
that's what I mean
overall.
though. Like he couldn't get the regular jujitsu takedowns, but he had he had no success with those. But when he just shot like a regular double leg, that was
True,
working much better. Like when he was trying to
true.
do all fancy
Yeah,
shit, like trying to like just flip him and stuff like that, it was just not working. Versus when he just
yeah,
like body on body, that's what was working slightly better. Not really much better, but only a little bit.
yeah. I think Payton maybe gets a ranked, maybe not like maybe just outside the rankings opponent next, just because of his kind of hype around him with this whole like Frank Ocean stuff. I could definitely see the UFC maybe trying to push him a little bit more. But overall, just a great performance. One thing that I kind of want to talk about, the reporters at the UFC suck. Like, what are we doing? Like,
So bad.
I didn't hear one reporter question ask him about like how he's improved his game because I'm sure we would have heard about how he's improved his wrestling get-ups and how he's improved his jiu-jitsu and been able to work on his takedown defense and stuff like that. But all they asked him about is like do you do you know when Frank Ocean is gonna drop his next album? Like, shut up! Like,
Yeah.
no UFC fan. Like, obviously, like as a UFC fan and a Frank Ocean fan, yeah, I kind of want to hear about that. But do you really think Payton Talbot is the guy to ask about that? Like a night before his fight? Like, it was really
Also,
just kind of frustrating to
let's be for
see.
real. The average UFC fan probably doesn't fuck with Frank Ocean anyways. So
Exactly. Like, I just want to hear about how he's improved his game and how he's learned from his loss where he got absolutely dog walked, and how he's improved. We didn't really hear that. But overall, great performance from Peyton Talbot. I was super duper impressed. I think we all were kind of like, I obviously picked Peyton Talbot, but I agree with you, Ben, in the fact that like I didn't think he was gonna win this convincingly. I thought,
mhm.
okay, maybe he had just out like a 29-28 decision, gets maybe a couple knockdowns, couple good strikes in. But his wrestling, that's what I think
It was.
really won it for him.
Mhm.
Um, but moving on, I will talk about this fight next, as my lock did not go through here. Renato Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. Obviously I locked in Moicano to win this. And after the first round, guys, I don't know about you guys, but I was super confident. That knockdown looked crisp. Renato Moicano was boxing, looked
No, but Neil slipped.
Moicano's boxing overall looked really impressive in that first round, and Beneil looked like he was gonna lose this fight easily. Like
Yeah.
his striking wasn't on the same level as Moicano's. He wasn't using his wrestling like
No.
we know he can. And then he woke up. That knockdown woke him up because he absolutely dominated the rest of the fight. That second round, he had like 3 to 4 minutes of control time, right? Something like that. Like
I think it was
he
3.5.
just
Yeah.
took him down. Yeah, took him down. Went back to his game plan. Took him down. Gassed Moicano out, and then by that late second round, and then the third round, Moicano was gassed. He couldn't do anything. His strikes had a little bit of more technique, but he had no power behind them. He was just basically throwing like wrist shots, like just hoping to kind of land with volume rather than land with power. But against a top guy like Beneil, who could have contended for a title shot a couple years ago, it's obviously not going to work, right? So, I kind of very dominant, convincing win from Beneil. Other than that first round, like that first round was a clear loss, but after that, like there was nothing I think you could have stopped Beneil with at that point.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, Beneil, he just kind of looks like this is how he's been for like most of his career, in that he kind of is just like a slow, like he slows down the pace of the fight and he brings it to his pace, which he wants to just like grapple a little bit, take you down, tire you out. And that's exactly what he did, which I think the UFC doesn't really like, which is why they never really gave him favorable matchups for the most part. They always go, just fucking toss him in there with Charles, with Arman, whatever, fucking, just get them a free win. But also at the same time, Renato did not capitalize on Beneil looking slow at all, apart from almost knocking him out in the first round. But after that, he was just like, all right. And then Beneil took him down, gassed him out, and Bob's your uncle.
I mean, I just gotta say, I don't know what you were thinking about putting it as a lock, especially against Beneil Dariush. I mean, you saw in this fight what I have been trying to tell you over the last week, which is good podcast clips does not equal good fighter. And you're fighting a person known for his ground game, and you proceed to let him do whatever he wants in the next two rounds, even though you won the first. It's like I saw in a post-fight interview that Moicano admitted that lack of cardio and takedown defense training lost him the fight. Like no shit. Like that's the whole principle that you have to do against Beneil Dariush. And the way that Beneil won the fight made me look at Moicano more badly than it did before because it looked so bad. Like this fight was just so bad. It felt like watching two dads who watch UFC go into an octagon and fight. It was like washed up. It's like this whole fight, like the first round, I was like, oh my God, like Jacob might be right. Like Renato's like actually cooking. And then the second round starts, he all he had to do was get that ground control time, and it just felt like the fight was over. He realized,
Mhm.
wait, like I actually won this round. The third round, I just don't got to get hit, and the fight's gonna be mine by decision. And what I found especially embarrassing for Moicano is you landed only 28 significant strikes on Beneil Dariush. On Beneil Dariush, you only landed 28 significant strikes. You actually got outstruck by Beneil Dariush. It was absolutely embarrassing. And Jacob, that's not good for a. You're not off to a great start with your locks.
All right, all right. I just want to
On,
say, that first round, we all thought I was gonna be a genius. Okay, it was looking really good, but yeah, after that, yeah, it might have been not the best pick, but
hey,
hey, you win some, you lose some. You win
uh,
some, you lose some.
to Jacob's credit, you're the only one that got your lock right because I picked Brandon Royval, who
Yeah,
seemed like he was going to be the biggest lock of the night to me, anyways. And then he went to what I think will be the match of the decade so far, and went to a war with Josh Fan. And honestly, I think he kind of lost that fight for himself. Like I do think that before the last 40-ish seconds of the fight, he was probably going to win by decision. And then him and Josh Van just started just exchanging and going to war. And then Josh Van got a knockdown and lost him the fight. I think that Brandon Royval kind of, in a way, threw it, but also at the same time, it was like the best fight of the year, at least. So I'm not complaining.
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean,
no,
just an absolute banger, just an absolute banger. Josh Fan. I mean, we all picked Royval for a very obvious reason that he was gonna dog him, but that just didn't happen. Like
I'm
Josh Van that
surprised
first round.
and I'm
Go ahead, Ben.
happy.
Sorry.
I would say I'm surprised and
Yeah,
I'm pleasantly surprised.
yeah. Like it. it was just a slugfest between these two guys. That first round, clearly Josh Vans got a couple like stunned Royval a couple times, and then that second round, like again, just great exchanges. I think Royval got more of the significant strikes, more powerful strikes, in that second round. Obviously, so it was 19-19 going into the final round, and like I can't agree with you more anymore, Ben. By Royval lost himself that fight. That third round was clearly his to lose, and he decided I'm gonna stand and throw, which just didn't make sense to me. Like you're not Max Holloway. Like you just win. Like kind of do what Khalil did. Like just avoid damage for the last minute. Like who cares if you get called a bitch? You're still winning the fight. You're gonna be the number 1 ranked guy still and get the title shot next. Instead, he goes in the exchange, tries to aura farm a little bit, and it goes the opposite way. Josh Fan gets the knockdown late in the round and almost gets the TKO within the last 10 seconds. Overall, a super duper impressive performance from Josh Fan. After fighting literally on the first card of the month, he fights on the last card of the month. A ridiculous turnaround,
Hmm.
and a great fighter, and probably gets the title shot next, which I'm a little worried about, but I'll let Samir. We'll talk about more of that later. I'll let Samir kind of give his a little bit of analysis on this one.
Well, I actually have a couple stats that I pulled up for this fight because it was such a great fight. This is actually the most significant strikes that have been landed in a three-round flyweight fight ever, with 419 total significant strikes within 15 minutes. It's just an insane fight. And kind of adding on to your guys' points, we kind of got this totally wrong, because we gave it to Royval not because he was gonna like absolutely blow Joshua Van out of the water, but it's because we used his UFC experience to his advantage, and he used none of that going into the third round. Like I don't know what his strategy was going in and thinking, hey, I'm gonna go and try to fight a striker when I'm winning this fight, arguably. And Joshua Van just has that dog in him. It came out, I think, before. I wasn't sure if it's before or after the fight, but came out that Joshua Van actually went into this fight with a broken toe. So props to him, because that's insane that from his last fight, oh, like less than a month ago, going into this fight with a broken toe and coming out on top. I mean, it's insane. Um, I think that Joshua Van did really well in asserting himself as an experienced UFC fighter with only 4 fights as of right now to his name. I mean, he maintained composure and he kind of matched what Royval was throwing at him, which I wasn't really expecting because when I think of Joshua Van, I just think of like just all guns blazing, you know? And we did see it in this fight, but there was definitely a more measured approach that he took with his striking that I was not expecting this early on in his career. I thought it would come after a loss, you
Hmm.
know, not him, especially mid-fight. I mean, his corner was doing so well in keeping him in the fight because I felt like he adapted very well into the third round. Now, albeit the fight was being played into his hands, but still to just still be in it by the third, because for me it was Royval going into the third. I thought he was going to win the fight because his body kicks and his pressure was crazy. Um, Although I'm not quite sure if the second round was Vans. Like I'm still not sure about that because um like his counters were making him competitive, but I thought Royval was absolutely dominant.
Hmm.
And just to have this display and this great fight on this card, it makes me really excited for the prospects of the flyweight division because I feel like once we have kind of the big bad, the Cejudo, the Demetrius, the Panto. When we get rid of that in the flyweight division, there are so many great fights to watch, and just this one proved it.
Hmm.
And I'm really excited. I think coming out of this fight, my prospects for the flyweight division, I'm way more excited than I was
Hmm.
just like 2 nights ago. And this shows me that this division has dogs in it. It always has had dogs in it, but just the fights are on a crazier level and much more elite. And I think that Van, we'll talk about it later, is probably the best threat to Pantoja so far for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, I just checked the rankings because the rankings updated today. Joshua Van's #1 now. I mean,
Is he?
obviously, but I I, I was kind of like maybe he goes up to 4, maybe he goes up to 3 or something like that because he was the ranked like 12th guy. But it is now Van, Moreno, Royval, Albazi, and then Kai Kara. Not bad. I'm not mad at that. But yeah. Next we actually moved on to the flyweight belt
Hmm.
matchup between Pantoja and Kai Kara France. Kai Kara
Talk
France just got
talk about your
absolutely
luck,
dogged.
Samir. Talk about your luck.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
I
You got it right.
mean, not much to it, to be honest. I said he'd probably win this by either submission or decision, and he won by submission. I mean, this guy is insane. And I know we spoke about it last week, but to have him ranked ninth, co-ninth in the pound for pound when he's just dis like when he's just dismantling everybody. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, props for Kaikar France for even staying in the fight because to have so many takedowns to defend and still being in the fight in the third round, he showed a lot of grit, showing what type of fighter he is. He was standing on what he said, which is he's gonna go in there for an absolute war, and it was a war for him, not really for Alejandro though, because his style is just so good. I mean, he is so well rounded, probably the most well rounded fighter in flyweight history for me. Because after this fight, it was great. I mean, he has what like 14 wins, 8 coming from finishes, 6 subs, um, the most ever in a division, I think. By the way, and he's now on an 8 fight win streak. I mean, I really don't know why you guys didn't have him that as a lock. He's a great lock.
Hey, I picked him. I picked
It,
him.
Someone else
Yeah,
didn't.
I got this one wrong. Listen, guys, I didn't I didn't pick Kai Kara because I was discrediting Pantoja. I just wanted to maybe see something new, some new face of the flyweight division. Um, but as soon as this fight started and Pantoja stood with him for a bit and then immediately got the takedown and got the back, like I was like, yeah, this I shouldn't have. I wanted to change my pick right away. I thought Kai Kara was gonna clip him and maybe the second or third, but he just Pantoja's so good at just not letting his opponent get comfortable. Like in every one of his matchups, he does the opposite of what the fighter is good at. We've seen it in the last two, like Kaya Sakura and Kai Kara France. Both these guys are excellent strikers. They have power. They know how to technically fight. And Pantoja just immediately shuts that down by taking them to the ground, grinding them out. Even if he's not doing a lot, like Pantoja's kind of a boring fighter. Like I think we can kind of agree, like he's not the most electrifying fighter in the world. But like stylistically, like he is like his ability to just sit there and grind out guys and make them uncomfortable. Like Kai Kara did not for a second in this fight, like from the start of the bell to eventually the tap out, he just didn't look like he was where he wanted to be and at any point in this fight. Pantoja just absolutely dominated him. Um, Overall, a great performance from Pantoja. He can't even really be mad that he won it. And he is now he is now the fifth ranked pound for pound. Finally gets a
Behind
little bit of
Dricka
respect.
somehow.
I'm not terribly mad at it. Like I do think he should be higher than Drickus, but I get it. Drickus has had a couple defenses. He is middleweight, which is a little bit more of like a popular division. So
Hmm.
it kind of makes sense. But if you were to actually look at it not like a popularity contest and like an actual athlete ranking, he should be ahead of Dricus. But again, we'll get more into the pound for pound rankings a little bit later. But yeah, Pantoja's just a dog. Like maybe Josh Van beats him, but I was kind of mentioning this to Samir before the fight, before we started the pod here, is that Kai Kara and Josh Van are very kind of similar stylistically. And like I said, Pantoja's just great at making guys feel uncomfortable. So probably another takedown fest from Pantoja if that fight does get booked next. But again, I think we all want to see it. But let's hear from you, Ben.
I mean, I don't really have much to say. It was just like Kaikara. I thought he was gonna be a bit better than he was. He wasn't. Pantoja, I thought it was like I didn't think it was going to be as dominant as it was going to be. It was. Yeah, not much to say. It was just Pantoja looks like, you know, in his run so far, he's had some decisions where it's been like, did he win with like Urseg? Like he's had like tight decisions, but his last two fights, he's just like leveled up his own game when he dominated Kaya Sakura in his debut, and then now he's dominated Kai Kara France. It looks like he's like stepped up his game to another level. He's like, oh, you guys don't want to rank me top of pound for pound? Watch this. Let me do some real quick. And he's just gone crazy his last two fights. And if he continues this streak, lightweight or flyweight might just be boring for the next while. But yeah, he just got an easy dub. Light work, no reaction.
I I kind of we'll get more into like obviously matchups, but I do want to throw this out there. I kind of don't want him to see. I don't want to see him fight Josh Van yet. I kind of want to see him take on like Marab. Like I kind of
Interesting.
want to see that like for a double belt. Both guys are kind of walking through their whole division right now, so I think it would be kind of good for both divisions kind of to do like a little bit of a double champ situation. But I also understand that if they didn't want to do that,
Well,
whatever. I
maybe that's your pick
obviously
when we do that later.
yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, guys, we've come to the time to talk about the main event. Just a uh, sad, heartbroken. I don't think there's many other words we could use than just Ilia Topuria. It might be higher than Khabib all time at this point. Like man, his this guy. I've never seen someone walk into a fight or just be so confident going into a fight. He said exactly what he was gonna do. He came out in his walkout with a little smirk on his face. Like he just everything about Ilia Topuria just screams confidence. He knows what he's gonna do when he enters that octagon, and he backs it up. Like there, it's not like he's saying this and oh he edges out decisions. Like he has literally gone on quite possibly the most impressive three-fight win streak in UFC history, knocking out like three goats, like not obviously goats, but three greatest fighters ever, and just in a like convincing fashion in all three of these. And he just killed Charles. I thought for a second that that leg lock was going to be locked in, and Charles was going to win this by submission. It looked tight. Ilia didn't look like he was gonna get up, and then he got up. And as soon as that happened, we all know what happened next. Just a
Hmm.
mean combo. And for a split second, I thought, oh, Charles is he's just about to pull guard again, and his carcass was laying flat in the middle of the octagon. I don't even really want to talk about this one much more. So just someone else.
Ilya, to start off the fight, it looked like it was gonna be, oh, maybe it'll be close. Charles got that nice heel hook, and I thought, whoa, hold on now. And then Ilya just, you know, not he didn't look that like like he didn't look like he was that hurt. He's like, all right, let me just stand up real quick. Got back to the feet and night night. Yeah, Ilia, I don't know if he's better than Khabib all time yet. I wouldn't say so just because Khabib has had almost double the fights. But at the same time, Ilia has knocked out very good people. Charles, like a top 25-ish fighter all time, and then Max and Volk are like top 15 fighters of all time. So he has been very impressive, and he got pound for pound number one, probably deserved, I'd say. But yeah, he just killed him.
I mean, it kind of asserted how dominant Ilya was after he got off of that exchange with Charles. Because when I saw that he had the leg, I'm like, wait, hold up a minute. We've never seen really Ilya in a position like this before, and he showed what he would do in a position like that. He just got out of it efficiently. I mean, he literally nullified like Charles's only strat in the fight, which is basically trying to shift the fight to the ground,
Hmm.
and he didn't allow it. He just waited. He's like, okay, like I'll let I'll let her make you get up. Let's see what you're gonna do when you stand up because I'm not engaging. Like I will just stand here and wait for you. And Oliveira, like I don't know what his strategy was going into this fight. To be fair, he could not have any other one bar this one, but he kind of tried making Topuria fight his fight, which just didn't really make sense to me. Like I think he should have kind of prepared to be on the defensive and kind of taken an approach like that. Because he would kind of go press forward, which not in a very like not in a very Charles way. He would attempt to mix like takedowns while he was also grappling. Like it wasn't really making sense to me. But Taporia, I mean, he literally kept his distance. He dictated like the tempo. I mean, I think he had like 74% strike accuracy, and there was like that's insane.
Yeah.
And it's not even significant strikes. It was like 74% strike accuracy. I mean, he's got the ground game, he's got the striking, he's literally got the takedown defense, he's got the cardio, and I don't think we'll ever see him go to a decision. Like I
Mhm.
generally don't see him going to decision ever. Unless he fights Islam, or maybe even like Armin. Like I
Maybe.
don't see him going to decision ever. This is just like we're watching greatness happen right now. Whether I like to say it or not, he's on the greatest three-fight win streak in any combat sport history. I mean, you go knock out Volkanovski, then you go knock out the guy that's never been knocked out before. His chin is made out of steel, and then you knock out one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. It's actually insane, and I don't know what we're gonna do, what matchup they're gonna give him, because there was a little bit of talk after the fight with Patty, and obviously they had that face off. But then I think Dana after in
He
the press
nullified it
conference,
immediately.
yeah, he was like, "I'm not fucking with this. Like, I don't know." And my favorite part about it is like he's like, "I don't
I don't
know
know who
who
did
did
it.
it. I don't know who did it." While seeing like Joe
It was
Rogan
Joe
literally
Rogan. Yeah,
go on
let's see
the
if we can get
mic.
him in here.
Like that was probably one of my favorite
Also,
parts of the night.
Dana was standing at the door. Like Dana's in the octagon at the time. Like if he really didn't want Patty entering, say something then. You're the owner of the company. Like just tell them not to. Like you can see the clip where Patty walks in and they're doing the face off and Dana is in the background. Like if you really didn't want it to happen, do something about it then.
Yeah.
But man, Ilya, the worst thing is I want to be an Ilya fan. You know what? Like I kind of am an Ilya fan at this point. Like just because he's so impressive and he's a really exciting all around fighter. Like obviously his boxing shines, but we've seen his wrestling ability against Bryce Mitchell, his submission ability again against Bryce Mitchell. Like he's just super exciting. It just sucks that he had to do it against three of like the all-time fan favorites in the sport in Charles, Max, and Volk. Um, but I honestly I can't hate Ilia Topuria. Like this guy, he's a legend. He's etched his name in history. He's like one of the greatest fighters of all time already. Like obviously not like top 10, um, but he's definitely broken possibly in like the top 30, top 25. I wouldn't be mad at putting him in there. And if he keeps going on this run, if the next match is him and Islam, like obviously there might be like a couple in between, but if it's gonna be him and Islam, like that's fight of the century. Like that's an amazing matchup, and if he wins that, that's he's etched himself probably the top 15 all time. You know,
Hmm.
gets a couple defenses, fights Islam, easily could be top 10. But now we're gonna be playing a little bit of matchmaking, everybody. I kind of want to go first. I kind of want to make some matches for the lightweight division. Obviously
Do,
now with Ilia. What? Sorry, go ahead.
oh, do you want to? How do you want to do it? I just have it written out like with the winners of each fight from the feature prelim all the way down to the main event. Or do you want to just start
Oh
on
yeah, we could
top?
do
Or do you want to start on top?
that. Let's start with the feature prelim.
Okay.
Let's start with the feature prelim.
So who do you think Gregory
I want to.
Rodriguez should fight? Or do you think I should go first?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
All
I'm
right.
gonna pull up my notes here.
So for Gregory Bobo Cop Rodriguez, I think, he got a nice little knockout. I think he should be fighting someone in the rankings, a lower ranking, but someone in the rankings. I think a perfect matchup for him is the loser of the fight between Brendan Allen and Marvin Vittori, because either one of them will be on a skid, either Brendan Allen on a 3 fight skid and Marvin on a, I think, 2 fight, and just not super impressive. So I think give Gregor Rodriguez a shot in the rankings against the loser of someone who's just on a bad streak. So I think either Brendan Allen or Marvin Vittori.
I'm actually gonna go a little bit of the kind of same idea. I was gonna say the winner or the loser. I wouldn't be too mad at either of Kapilov versus Paulo Costa. That's what I was like. I think loser, I don't know, just because loser might put him out of the rankings, and I kind of agree. I think top should fight in the rankings. But if one of those guys, if they lose, let's say Paulo Costa loses, he's ranked 13 right now, and he goes to like 15. I think that's a perfect matchup for him to take
Hmm.
that number 15 spot.
Yeah.
That's who I would say. I wouldn't be mad. I obviously the Brendan Allen fight would be a great one too, or the Brendan Allen Marvin Vittori. But I think that's my pick. I think whoever wins or loses that Paulo Costa Kapilov fight, I think he could take either of them.
Yeah, that was actually gonna be like my picks. I was gonna pick either one of either Kopilov or Paulo Costa, but I'm leaning more towards Paulo Costa. I mean, that would just be an insane fight.
Hmm.
Um, like a showdown with Rodriguez, I think would be great. And these are just two fighters that are characters in the UFC, and it would just be a great money making fight. And it would also be a good prospect for Gregory, of course, him being a finisher. Finding one of these guys, it doesn't look too bad for him. Kind of looks like a nitpicked fight for him. So it works out for both. And also Paulo Costa, if he would lose, would be falling down the ranking. So it would be kind of like a winner takes all kind of. So either Paulo Costa vanishes into unranked fights, going into prelims, kind of like losing his UFC contract. If he loses that fight against Gregory Rodriguez, or wins, gets back, and Gregory Rodriguez vice versa. His stock's going down if he would lose to Paulo Costa, an old aging Paulo Costa, but if he would win, would push himself up the ranking. So I just feel like it's a perfect matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at any of
Did you
those
want to
picks to
continue
be
with the
honest.
winners, or do you want to go with Jack Hermansson? You just want to go
Let's
like
just
fight
go
by
with
fight,
winners.
or okay.
I mean, obviously there's some that we could talk about winner and loser. Like we're probably gonna talk about who Oliveira should fight next. But for that one, I mean Jack Hermanson. I don't really care who he
I
fights
just have
next.
him. I have written down him versus Mikel Pereira, just because I
Yeah,
think. I mean, if Gregor Rodriguez could do that to Jack Hermansson, maybe someone who they like in Mikel Pereira could also knock him out, or because they're just both unranked middleweights, Just kind of toss him in and see what
Yeah,
happens. That's what I had written down.
I like that. I'm not mad at that. I probably would have picked something similar. So, next, Peyton Talbot,
Yep.
who I I'm kind of leaning towards like a I don't know. I was gonna say like Saeed Nurmagomedov, but I think that might be a little too high to fight that. Like maybe like a Jonathan Martinez or something like that. I'm looking at the current bantamweight rankings, and Barcelos is 17 and Saeed's 16. So I don't yeah, maybe like a Jonathan Martinez. I could definitely see. I wouldn't be too mad at something like that for Peyton. And then Lima, that doesn't matter. F that Brazilian.
Oh,
I think I think that the perfect fight to make for Peyton Talbot, and don't just hold your horses when I say this. He is a big company man, and we need a big company fight. So give him the Topuria brother. That's right, Alexandre. They need a fight. I think that would be a
oh,
really good fight, and
interesting.
also it would be great because it would either bring the stocks. Like I'm just thinking in a business sense, and also what I would enjoy watching, not in really like combat mindset. And if I'm thinking of big money and also big attendance and an exciting prospect fight, I would definitely put Payton Talbot against Alexandre Topuria because it's just a perfect storyline. I mean, an up and coming fighter, both up and coming, and Alexandre. I mean, he's got that dog in him. And what we were talking about Peyton Talbot earlier, having that ability to adapt and kind of change his style, it would be very interesting seeing how he would approach a fight against one of the Topuria brothers. And that would be my outside shout. A more like calm and tame one would probably be Chris Gutierrez. I mean, he's just for me, he's like a more veteran. He's also in the rankings, and I'm thinking of Payton Talbot right now. I'm not really trying to put him up the rankings. I'm more trying to establish him. So
Mhm.
give him like fights that would kind of get experience under his belt, so that the UFC could turn him into a big name. And to do that, you obviously got to give him like regular fights, fights that he would probably should win. Um, I also had another option for him. I know these are a lot of options for Payne Talbot, but it is a fighter that I like. I would like to see in the UFC, especially after he proved me wrong. Uh, a fight against Yanez.
There you
I think that
go.
would be really good. Yeah, like because it like a flashy finisher, and Payne Talbot in his last fight showcases wrestling, but what we know Payne Talbot for is for his striking, so it would be a really good fight for me.
And do you have any thoughts on who Felipe Lima should fight?
No, no
Fair enough.
chance.
Fair enough. Okay, so
He
I completely agree with you. It absolutely should just be Adrian Yanez because for a few reasons. One, it would just be a banger. Two, Yanez is 1-2 in his last two fights. He needs something. If he wins against Peyton Talbot, that looks pretty good. Or Peyton Talbot wins, that looks great. And also, three, Peyton Talbot has called out Adrian Yanez in his last two fights, or last two wins now. So it just has to be the match to make. Yanez is unranked right now. Give him, see if we can propel this guy. That's what I think. And then for Felipe Lima, I have two options here, both for similar reasons. Because maybe they see something in Felipe Lima as they put him against Peyton Talbot. I think they give him a matchup that they stylistically think he could win again, get him back in the win podium. I think he fights one of two guys. Either he fights in Vancouver against Sirhe Side or Charles Air Jourdain. I think he fights a Canadian in Vancouver, but it's a bit of a favorable matchup, and I think he fights one of them too. Probably Sirhe Side, just because he's a bit more of a raw prospect than Charles Jourdain. So if I were to pick anybody, it'll be Felipe Lima versus Sirhe Side in UFC Vancouver.
That's fair. I like that. Shout out Vancouver. I can't wait for that fight night. It's gonna be a banger. Um, then we have Beneil versus Moicano. This one, I think we could probably do the loser too.
Oh yeah.
But I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you first, Ben.
So I have an interesting take on this because it's an interesting take because in recent news we've heard maybe a fight be confirmed. Dricus du Plessis has said that Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje will be on 3/18, 19, 19, I think.
19,
Um,
19, yeah.
I'm just gonna pretend that's not news because I have Beneil against one of two people. Either Dan Hooker, just because he's a higher ranked lightweight, or Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. And my reasoning for that is I think, well, Dana White already shut down Paddy getting a title shot. So he thinks Paddy needs one more win. I think the most easy matchup for Paddy to win, or at least, if they're looking at the rankings, is Beneil Dariush. I think they kind of see Beneil as a fake contender just because they're like, just give him Charles, give him Armand, give him like the real contenders. So I think they're gonna give him a Paddy Pimblett or a Dan Hooker. Either way, it's the same kind of thing. It's like either this person wins and they beat Beneil Dariush, who looks really good, or Beneil wins and they go, that guy's all right. Make Beneil fight one more time for a title shot. So I think it'll be either Paddy or Dan Hooker.
I
Oh
like
wait, and
that. I like
I'm
that.
supposed to also say Renato, aren't I?
I mean, you can.
Okay, and then I also have Renato Moicano versus uh the only person I could really think is like a concrete option for me is Grant KGB Dawson. And my reasoning for that is I think Renato needs to fight a low ranked lightweight. Now there is a few options you could put like Michael Chandler or Grant Dawson or like the loser of Benoit versus Joel Alvarez, something like that. But I think Grant Dawson's just a good pick because they don't really view Grant Dawson as like a money guy. So put him against Moicano, big matchup, oh, Moicano's gonna win, and then he can, clip farm a bit more. So I'm gonna say Moicano versus Grant Dawson.
I like that. I like that. I was actually gonna completely agree with you. And say I was also gonna say Money Moicano versus Grant Dawson. Maybe him versus like a King Green. Like both guys are kind of on their way, not out, but out of
Like
the
a
rankings,
just
and this could
outside of the ranking.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
kind of maybe see them both like fighting to stay within those rankings, just because they're both kind of on. I mean, McClellan's not on a crazy losing streak, but King Green is, so I'd maybe like to see that. But I was also gonna say Grant Dawson. That was kind of my pick. I just had to come kind of scramble for another one. I don't want to be too much like a sheep. And then for Beneil, I want it's kind of tough because like I don't know. I kind of agree versus like him versus Patty would be kind of cool. But I kind of want to see Patty fight up a little bit more. I hate to be a sheep, but I kind of do want to see Beneil versus Dan Hooker. I think that's kind of like the matchup to make. Beneil sitting at like 10th. Shit, my light just fell.
I think he's
Oh my god,
ninth,
I'm super dark.
or he might be eighth now because I'm pretty sure Patty was nine, so they might have just swapped.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Beneil versus Dan Hooker, or bro, you picked all the good ones. I guess Beneil versus like you said the loser of Benoit Joel Alvarez, but I think
Oh,
maybe those are the fights.
you think Beneil versus the loser of that fight? Because the loser
Sorry,
of that.
winner. My fault. My fault.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be really mad to see Beneil fight anyone. Like I just
I
I
just
think
don't think they're gonna give him like a top guy because I don't think they
yeah,
view him
no,
as
I
a
don't think
real contender.
yeah, I don't think he fights like a Gaethje or like a Gamrot or something like that. But maybe like even a Fiziev. But all right, Samir, let's hear yours.
I mean, I think after the fight, kind of like hop off what Ben was saying, is Dariush kind of like a fake contender per se, which kind of basically means that they don't really care for him. They're just putting
Hmm.
him there to boost other fighters.
Yeah,
And I think that Dan Hooker has way too much stock on his name to waste his time with like a Beneil because
yeah.
if you put Beneil and Dan Hooker in a cage, I'm not even watching the fight. I already know who's winning. Like, I'm sorry, Beneil, especially after that last performance. I would give him just the other person that's exactly like him within the same division. Um, Mr. Chandler,
Yeah,
nobody would really
fair.
care for that fight. You could put it on a fight night. No one would complain. Either one loses, nobody cares. Either one wins, nobody cares. Perfect fight. And for Moicano, um, kind of needs to build his stock up again because he's off of two losses right now. I think he should just go against like a veteran, or maybe even like there's two ways he could go about it. He could try to get a win back, kind of fight the old heads. I was thinking, looking at the division, maybe like a Drew Dober, like someone he just basically is probably gonna win against, and they're also
Hmm.
kind of in the same position of they're on the tail end, the twilight end of their UFC careers. But if Moicano, you really got that dog in you, I think I would fight a contender like Roberts. That would be a good fight for me. And then this is just me saying names because I like big name fights. I like hearing a name that I know, fighting another name that I know. Give Moicano Gamrot. That'll be fun for
Okay,
me. I would love to see that fight. But if I'm being like saying my main pick, I'd probably give Moicano Drew Dober. And for
that's fair.
Dariush, probably Michael Chandler.
Also, I'm gonna say I'm so glad that Beneil won this fight because had he lost this fight, I know that it would have been a shoe-in. They were gonna feed him to Mauricio Ruffy. Oh, thank God he avoided it. Oh my God, because I know damn well if he lost that, they're like, all right, yep. Oh
Good
man,
luck.
thank God he
Good
won.
luck.
Oh my God. Okay.
The next one's kind of easy-ish for the winner. Josh Van versus Brendan Royval. Obviously Josh Van probably the match to make is him versus Pantoja. They kind of had that face-off at the end of Pantoja's fight, so I think that's just kind of the one to make. If not Pantoja, probably maybe like a Brandon Moreno just to like kind of prove himself a little bit more. Maybe even he fights Kai Kara France just to kind of like I wouldn't be mad at that. Both guys like Kai Kara to like keep his ranking, Josh Van to kind of like prove like I'm ready for the title shot. Like this guy just fought for it. Let me dog him. And honestly, stylistically, very similar. It would probably be kind of similar to the fight we just watched between Royval and Van. Just kind of a slugfest between two excellent strikers. But I think my number one pick for sure is a fight between Van and Pantoja. If I'm talking about Brandon Royval though, maybe like Amir Albazi. He definitely has to fight down. Even maybe like a Manel Cape, I wouldn't be mad at. Just kind of like both guys. One has to fight, get higher in the rankings. One has to kind of prove that he deserves to be in that top five. I'd probably maybe lean more towards Royval Manel Cape, just because I kind of want to see Amir Albazi fight maybe Brandon Moreno next. Um, but yeah, those are my two picks. I think for the flyweight division to kind of see what's next.
I mean, I think the same as you guys that Van should be fighting Pantoja. But if I could have picked, like I would have loved just one more setup fight, put him against Figueiredo. That would have been I would have loved that fight. I would have loved that fight. Obviously, he is hopping off of his um 4 fight win streak, all the hype going into it. But thinking back to my statement before actually hopping on the podcast with Jacob, looking at it, I just don't see Van's chances as much. Like I did say he was the best shot at beating Pantoja, but then thinking of his style, I don't see that being the matchup for him. So I want kind of like one more big fight to prove his name before going into the title fights, but I'm really excited for it. And as for Royval, um he kind of has to move down. Um like you guys said, I would give him like a bounce back fight against like a ranked fighter like Tatsuro Taira. That's a fight I would like to see. I definitely think it'll be a great fight between the two. Um, or even I forget how you pronounce his name. Filho, Fi
Fialho?
Fialho.
Yeah.
I think that would also be a great fight. Just, feeding him someone that's coming up the rankings as he's going down will be a perfect way for him to bounce back.
I like those picks, but I have a bit of a different uh view on those fights. I think Josh Van versus Pantoja is just kind of they had the face off. He's the number one contender, or he beat the number one contender, so I feel like that's just kind of what you have to do. Uh, Jacobs disappeared again. But or I mean, I'll say if Josh Van doesn't fight Pantoja, I'll say maybe. I mean, it has to be like a top guy. Like I just say, I guess Moreno. Just give Moreno another chance to go for the title again, because why not? Um, but for Brendan Raw Dog Royval, you guys were saying you think he has to fight down in the rankings, which entirely fair. But I think I have a maybe a crazy thought. Instead of moving down, hear me out now. He moves up to bantamweight, goes to a new weight
Mm,
class because he's a big dude. He's a long guy. Move him up to bantamweight. Have him see because he's just in a rotation of I beat a top guy title lose rotate keep going. Move him up to bantamweight. Put him against a middle of the road kind of guy. See what he can do there. I think Brandon Raw Dog Royval versus Chito Vera. Oh, bro, because that fight, would be an absolute banger. That would be like fight of the night. An absolute chin versus, I mean, Royval. Who knows? Maybe he gets chinned up in bantamweight. I think put him against a middle of the road guy there. Put him against Marlon Vera.
I like that. I like that take. I was gone for that most of that, and then I heard Bantamweight. I'm like, who is Rosie talking about? Um, but yeah, I like that. I like that. I'd like to see that. Man, that'd just be a slugfest. Oh
Just
my
because put him in
god.
bantamweight, maybe he can do something new instead of just being constant
Instead of
top
just like,
three contender.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Next, Pantoja versus Kai Kara. I mean, we all kind of guess who Pantoja's gonna fight.
Yeah, it's just the
Other
same.
than maybe Marab, like I said before, like I
Yeah,
maybe want to see like a bantamweight flyweight like double champ opportunity for both those guys. But I don't think Pantoja wants to do that. I think he's kind of fine and content with just like dominating his division and just kind of walking through all the guys there. I think the clear option is Josh Van. I think that's what kind of the Brendan Whiteville Josh Van fight was kind of for, was that title eliminator. It just has to be Josh Van. I mean, there's not really many other guys that Pantoja could or should fight other than the number one ranked guy who has like speed run the division at this point. Um, for Kai Kara, it's kind of tough. Like again, maybe like a Moreno or a Amir. Probably Amir Albizi. I'd probably say Kai Kara versus him. Um, I don't know. I don't know. You guys go ahead.
I mean, I think the easy fight is just Pantoja versus Van. I think you do one of two things: either Pantoja versus Van, young number one contender, or Pantoja moves up to Marab. I feel like you can't really do. There's nothing else he can do because he's beat everybody else in the division. So it's just one of the two. That's pretty crystal. That's crystal for me. But I think on the other side, Kaikara, I think it's also kind of like, to me, just seems like a easy match to make because they've been booked to fight before and they fucking hate each other. Kai Car France versus Manel Cape is staring you right in the face. I think that's just a layup for the kid.
True. True. Yeah, I like that honestly.
I mean, I think I agree with Ben. I was gonna say that Pantoja should have moved up after this fight and gone and fought Marab because it's kind of the both those divisions are kind of in the same state where it's like neither there's no one really of the
Both
ability
champs
yet
took
to take
everybody
down.
else.
Yeah. So and in this type of fight situation, if Pantoja leaves, then he obviously would vacate the belt, and then we could see a new start in the flyweight division. And of course, if Pantoja beats Marab, then it just restructures that whole division as well. So I think
Hmm.
that's a way that the UFC could fix kind of like the stagnant sense of those two divisions. Um, and I would actually make the fight Joshua Van against Moreno
Yep.
as the vacant belt fight.
Hmm.
Um, but with the scenario that that doesn't happen, which is probably really likely, I'd probably uh I'd probably give Kaikar France uh Tatsuro Taira because it would just be for me it would win fight of the night. I mean these two guys just absolutely dogging it, going crazy. Or even like any strike matchup for Kaikar France, it would be great. Like I'm looking at the rankings right now. Um, Giving him like Manel Cape, that would also be a good fight for me. So just kind of giving him someone that would keep his stocks up for if there is ever a vacancy in the title spot. Giving Kaikar France a guy that he could like beat up, strike, knock out, it could definitely push him back up to that vacant belt. That's the scenario that I'm imagining. If Pantoja does beat Van, I think he's gonna vacate the belt and fight Marab, depending on what happens by the time that fight takes place.
Hmm.
Yeah, and moving on to the lightweight championship, obviously Ilia Topuria wins the lightweight belt, certifying him as currently kind of a triple champ right now, being the BMF, featherweight, and lightweight. I mean, if he didn't have to vacate with this new Dana White
He's not the
bullshit.
BMF. That's Max
Uh,
Holloway.
all right, bro, shut up. Um, but for the lightweight, I mean, it's kind of up in the air for who kind of fights who. It's very complicated because all of these guys kind of don't like each other, all want a title shot. You got like Armin, you got Charles. I mean,
There's
Charles
like there's like
lost.
five guys like that all.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let Samir go first. I don't think we've let Samir go first for a pick, some picks. So we'll let you kind of structure the lightweight division a little bit here, Samir, picking who Ilia, Charles, and maybe some other matchups in there.
I mean, I think Oliveira, his fight happened the same night. His next fight is gonna should be um against a guy like Beneil. It will be just an easy win. It will be a really easy win, and Beneil would have the ability to like climb up, I think. So it would be a win-win. Like I think that Oliveira is reaching the tail end of his career. So he should kind of go more for like legacy winning and just adding numbers to his record, just adding another W. And I think that it is the best option for Beneil, who Beneil coming off of like a how long was his hiatus? It was a while, and coming off a couple losses, beating a pretty good opponent in Moicano, who was just in the title fight. I mean, this is part of that ranked area of fighters within this division where it's like they're always fighting important fights, but not really fights that matter. And that would be the perfect matchup for Oliveira, who's off a loss. Um, for Ilia, um, I would be happy with the Patty fight just in like a media sort of way. Like the press conference would go crazy, the lead up would go crazy. Like even whatever the outcome of the fight, the post match would be crazy. But the fight was there to be made, and I feel like he's kind of ducking him a little bit. It should have been it should be Arman. Like I feel like it should be Arman. It's the easiest. It's the easiest decision to put. I mean, Arman is the stopgap between him and Islam. And if he doesn't beat Arman, then he doesn't fight Islam. If he fights Arman, then why not give him Islam? Like, what other reason could they have to not make that fight? I think that's the last fight that he has before he gets that matchup against Islam, because Arman is the number one contender, I think. Um, and he offers a test that I haven't seen him have to deal with. Like maybe Volk was the last person he had to deal with that had kind of that gritty grappling and kind of like good ground game, like good ability to defend, kind of matching up to him. And looking at Arman's striking, it has gotten better, and it would just be a matchup that I'd want to see. It's like kind of like a scientific one. I would see here, and I would kind of like do tests. I would see these two guys fighting, how they would approach it. It's something that I'd be really excited to see. A backup for me would be Paddy Pimblett, just because of the history they've had. But going from like Volk, Max, Charles, and then going to Patty, like that just like why are you taking a step up and then you just kind of stagnate or even go down? Like I just don't see it. Like Patty needs to fight someone that we can actually be like, well, he did fight this guy, so he has a chance of winning. Because if you make this fight right now, nobody on I think this might be the biggest favorite going into the fight. Going into the fight, I remember you said Terrence McKinney was the or who
It was
was it?
Jacoby
Was it
Smith.
Jacoby Smith was the biggest favorite going into a fight? I think Ilia would be against Patty, because there is absolutely no world where like Patty doesn't get finished. Like
Yeah.
there's actually no world where it doesn't happen. So I think the fight to make is Arman.
I think that's fair. I also will say something I think is kind of tough while matching up lightweights, anyways, is like, for example, you said Beneil versus Charles. When Beneil versus Charles, they've already fought and Charles won. So it's like that's the problem with lightweight is that all of the guys who are like just outside of the title, they've all fought each other. Like Charles has already fought Justin, Dustin, Beneil, like all these people. So my thing is with Charles, and you were saying like have him just fight like legacy fights at this point. He's not gonna win a title again in his career probably. So I have him fighting kind of for a title. I have him fighting Max Holloway if he beats Dustin Poirier for the BMF title. Give Charles a fight against Max Holloway because technically Max is kind of in an awkward spot because it's like, is he a featherweight? Is he a lightweight? If he beats Dustin, he could even fight for the title. But does he want to fight Ilia again? I don't know. So it's like with Max, it's a bit awkward. But I think honestly, for Charles, fight like a Max Holloway or maybe Dan Hooker if he doesn't fight Beneil, who I said before. Or for Charles, honestly, retirement. That might just be the best move for him because he's every fight that he has, he almost gets not like finished. And to be fair, in his last couple of fights, he has been finished. So, like, I think for Charles, honestly, because he's also older and he has like 40 fights or like 40 fights in his career, or an insane amount. So I think honestly, retirement could also be not a bad shout for Charles. On the other hand, Ilya, once again, I think it depends on one thing, and that is if Islam wins the title and if Islam stays at welterweight. If he moves back to lightweight, easy. Ilya versus Islam Makhachev. But I want him to stay at welterweight, so I'm going to say instead Ilia Topuria versus Arman Sarukian for the title. Because I know Arman, he like missed weight or whatever, but he made weight as the backup fighter for this fight, and he's still number one contender. So I think that's just like, I feel like you have to make that fight, even though people won't really like it. I think he's an insanely good fighter and beat a lot of other people that are ranked. So I think Armin's the fight to make.
Yeah, for Charles, for me, I kind of agree with you, Ben, about the retirement thing. I don't kind of see him fighting for the title again. Like I don't think he'll ever get UFC gold again, and might not even get a shot at it. So at that point, like what's the kind of point of fighting unless you're gonna just do money fights and just try to make money? But I don't think that's Charles's legacy at all. He's never been one guy to just be like, I'm gonna take this fight for the money. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's always wanted to fight for the rankings, and at this point in his career, like there's just like maybe he fights like a Matthias Gamrot and kind of fights down. Like he obviously needs to fight down. Um, but again, I think the best option for Charles right now is just to retire, go out on kind of a high note. Like don't keep losing and just kind of fight your like ruin your legacy a bit. Like you got knocked out by Ilia Topuria, you lost a close decision to Arman. Just enjoy retirement. You have the most finishes in UFC history. You're an all-time great and a definite Hall of Famer. Don't go out on a 3 fight losing streak and possibly getting finished in your next fight. I just think it would just be more upsetting for the fans. On the other hand, Ilia is a tough one for me personally. I know both of you kind of said Arman. The only thing with me with Arman right now is he hasn't fought since last March or last April. Let me see, last April. So it's almost been a year and 2 months now since he's last fight against Charles. That's the only difficult thing for me is seeing him fight for a title after taking that long of a break because we haven't seen him dominate a fight in a year and a bit. So like maybe make a fight with him versus like Dan Hooker or Max or something like that, like just to kind of prove himself that he can make weight, he can still compete. Obviously, he probably wins whoever he fights next. Obviously, if it's not Ilia, he probably wins pretty convincingly. But for me, I just kind of need to see it again. I need to see Arman prove it, I guess, you know what I mean again. Not that he needs to, but just for me. Just because he's been on this year-long break with his injury or whatever happened, the UFC has never really confirmed what kind of went on with him. Um I saw Ilia wants to fight in December, and if what Dricus said is true about the whole it's gonna be Paddy versus Justin in August, I think that's a perfect kind of title eliminator. I think that's whoever wins that, Paddy or Justin, should get the next title shot. That's a perfect timeline for both those guys to kind of recover, unless it's a brutal fight and both guys are bloodied and
Hmm.
both injured and they can't make that December fight. But if it's true that he wants to wait till December, that means we almost have to wait 2 years for Arman to fight for the title. Like that again, just doesn't make logistical sense in my head. I think the best is if it's true this Justin. I think even if it's not true, the fights to make is Justin versus Paddy, and that whoever wins that maybe gets the title shot. If not, make Arman prove himself one more time, and then he gets the title shot. You know what I mean? But like I said, lightweight's kind of like Ben and you Samir kind of said, like it's a tough spot right now at lightweight. There's so many guys that want that title shot. It's also kind of tough with Dustin and Max kind of having their legacy fight, and both of them are at 5 and 6 because it's hard to make
Hmm.
fights with when there's just that one kind of happening right now. But that's kind of my pick. I would say Ilya versus the winner of Gaethje and Paddy, or if Arman, it should be Arman, but because he's been on this
He's been
hiatus,
out,
and
yeah.
if Ilya truly wants to wait till December to defend his title, that's a year. That's almost a year and like 8 or 9 months without fighting for Arman. Like that's just too long for me to be like, yes, he deserves this title shot. It's the same thing with like Shavkat right now. Like if Shavkat came back today, he doesn't deserve the title shot. There's other guys that are there that want it and have fought more recently. Um, but yeah, those are kind of my picks for lightweight. It's tough. It's tough right now
Hmm. Well, it's
because
just because, yeah,
I
there's
don't think
just,
genuinely anyone beats Ilya right now. To be honest with you.
hmm and it's just like mostly everybody's fought each other, and everybody has an argument for and for like not getting the title. It's like Arman hasn't fought for forever. Justin got knocked out by Holloway not too long ago. Paddy just hasn't really fought
Yeah.
a top guy. Like there's just so many like pros and
There's so many
cons.
variables.
Yeah.
There's so many variables in this division right
And
now.
also
So
and also on top of that, it's like, well, what happens with Islam with his fight because he's fighting JDM. So it's like there's also that.
yeah, yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
tough right now.
I just have a
And then Cole.
Hmm.
Oh
for
yeah,
you
go ahead, go
guys.
ahead.
What are your thoughts on now this is not a suggestion, this is just a question to you guys, like almost a scenario. What are your thoughts on Hooker versus Charles? Because Hooker's obviously out without a fight after he couldn't make his fight against Justin, and of course with Justin probably being booked against Patty, it just leaves Dan Hooker out there. Now, the reason I'm saying it's a potential and I'm not suggesting it is because it would not be a good fight for Charles. I don't know why he would take it because obviously we've seen in his last couple of fights. I mean, we know his chin is always
Questionable.
a place of weakness. Um, but especially in his last couple of fights, you see it's more susceptible. But looking at that fight, it would probably be a good exit fight for Charles if you guys are thinking about him retiring and leaving. If he would win that fight, perfect fight to just leave on. Nobody would say he's fighting someone that's unknown, that he's fighting a dog. And if um obviously, if he loses that fight, he could also retire, say, "Yeah, I'm done with the sport." And Dan Hooker can go and try to fight for that BMF belt, which he is asking to, and he
Hmm.
has been asking for that opportunity after that Dustin versus Holloway fight. He wants a shot at the BMF again, and I think that would be a great way to get him back into it. But I just wanted to know your thoughts on it because I was looking at the rankings and I forgot that Dan Hooker it was just there with no
Yeah,
fights.
I absolutely agree because I mean, for example, I had him in my notes. I have him against Beneil potentially and against Charles potentially, just because Dan Hooker is like the most awkward case because it's like Dan Hooker is one of those guys who is a very good fighter, but also has lost a lot of fights. So it's like, does he deserve to fight a top guy? But he's also ranked at I think six or something. So
Yeah.
like, does he fight up against Charles or does he fight down against Beneil? Or does he fight some random guy like Mateusz Gamrot? Like Dan's in that really awkward spot, so I don't know what you kind of do with him. And also, yeah, like if you have him fight against Charles, if Charles wins, then what? It's just like it's kind of an awkward spot for lightweight because there's so many guys that are all so there's a lot of really good talent and also a lot of guys that kind of have fought or won't fight each other. I don't know.
Yeah, and like you kind of said, Ben, Dan Hooker's just a weird guy because he's really really good. Like he's a really good fighter. He beats a lot of like the lower ranked lightweights, but he doesn't really beat any of the top like five.
I don't think
You know
so,
what I mean?
no.
Like he's good. He's not great. Um, and like yeah, that Dan Hooker fight would be weird because again, if Charles wins, like then he beats the number six ranked guy. Who does he fight? Does he fight Justin again? Does he fight Armin again? Like what kind of happens next? It's just weird. Lightweight's in kind of a weird spot where there's so many good fighters, and then there's like a few great ones. But like you said, Ben, like a lot of those great ones have already fought each other.
Hmm.
It now just comes down to Ilia. And I said this too in our group chat. I want to see Ilia defend.
Hmm.
I want to see that Islam fight, and I kind of want to see that like legendary, like one of the greatest fighters fights ever stylistically. But I want to see Ilya defend his belt. I want to see him fight a bunch of the guys and win and kind of cement himself as a legacy at lightweight. Because at featherweight, he took it from Volk, he beat Max, and then he's like, all right, I'm vacating. I want to move up. Like I
Yeah.
kind of just want him to like he can't move to welterweight. Everyone keeps saying he could move to welterweight and fight Islam if he really wants to. No, he couldn't. He's way too
No.
small. It's not like he's small and a wrestler. He's small and a striker. So if he fought like a Ian Gary or a Shavkat. Like he's gonna get pieced up, and that's just fact. I'm sorry, but
I think he's
it's
probably a
just
better wrestler than Ian Gary. I mean, he trains with
Ilya.
Marab. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm just saying like he couldn't get in the range of Ian Gary,
True.
even
He's
if he
just
kind
he's
of
just
wanted
like
to.
yeah, he's tiny. He's like it'd be like fighting your little brother kind of thing.
Yeah, it would just be kind of almost bullying. Like obviously not bullying because Ilya's really really great, and obviously there's a great chance he still chins one of those guys, but. At welterweight, I don't think he would do well
Hmm.
as he's gonna do at lightweight or featherweight. But again, lightweight's it's tough. It's tough to match make these guys because
Do you think if
There's
you
just
were to
so
fight
many.
Charles, or if you were to fight Islam, do you think it should be at lightweight, not welterweight?
Lightweight,
Okay.
lightweight. I
Okay.
think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's fair for both guys because I think Islam's, even if he wins the welterweight title, Islam's fought at lightweight many times. He knows how to make that weight. And then Ilia, it's not really fair for him to have to go up because he's so small, and he would just have to put on more weight, which would just make him slower, make him more. Yeah, I think the fight would have to be at lightweight. Or
Hmm.
if they'd somehow if the UFC, kind of what you were saying when you were over, Ben, if they did like a catch weight for pound belt, like that could be really cool. But I
Hmm.
don't think the UFC would ever do something like that because they're dumb sometimes and don't listen. But
Sometimes.
I mean, what what can you really do, right? Is there anything else we were gonna talk about? Maybe I'm tripping, but I do have to.
I
All
don't
right,
think
well
so.
that's it for this week's episode then, because
All right.
I kind of have to get going to work. I have to get my shit on and get ready to sell some drugs. Um, guys, I promise I'm legally selling drugs. But that's it for this week's episode, really. Obviously there's other news that we could get into a little bit more, but I think the main thing this week was just talking about UFC 317 and kind of matchmaking.
Hmm.
There's no card next week,
Yeah.
boo, but we will be back, and hopefully we'll actually film on time on Sunday. Um, sorry about that, guys. It was my birthday. Leave me alone. But we will have an episode next week, more talking about the Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Texera fight,
Yep.
and more about news and stuff like that. And maybe we've been talking about maybe getting a guest on for a possible local fighter from our area or some kind of analyst or something like that. So stay tuned for that. But again, thanks for watching this week. We very much appreciate wherever you are, Toronto, anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the world. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us yap about guys um, fighting. Any closing words from you boys?
Thank you. Thank you for
Um,
watching.
Beneil Dariush was in fact not easy money. That's all I
Beneil
have to say.
Dariush Masterclass.
My lock unlocked.
Yeah. Masterclass from Beneil
um,
Dariush. We love you.
also, I didn't do a punishment for this lock. That might be something we introduce later. But if you really want to see me do some stupid things, I mean, I dyed my hair pink
Yeah.
on a different fucking thing. You
Yeah.
can really watch that if you really want to see me get punished. But shout out Taliesin Texera for making me lose that.
Mm.
Um, but again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next week to talk about Derek Lewis, Taliesin Texera. Peace out,
Peace.
motherfuckers.
Peace.